immigrants, men and women who fought their way past legal barriers and racial prejudice to enjoy America's promise of a brighter future. Alcatraz Island. It's directly ahead. Once, the only creatures that lived on that barren rock were flocks of pelicans. In fact, that's where Alcatraz got its name. The Spanish named the island after the pelicans, Los Alcatraces. The U.S. Army decided Alcatraz Island was the perfect place for a fort to defend the bay from invaders. But this cold and windy rock was such an unpleasant place that they changed their minds. It was now the perfect place for a military prison, and eventually a federal penitentiary. It was a time when gangsters were becoming heroes to people. The government needed to send a message that crime did not pay, so they created Alcatraz, the very last stop in the country's prison system, the place to send the worst criminals of all.
Yeah, my name is Leon Whitey Thompson. My number was 1465. 1465.
Listen carefully now. You're about to hear from former inmates, guards, and residents of The Rock to tell you their stories themselves.
I was a man that had total hatred in them days. I hated anything that walked or crawled on this earth. And when you got a man like that in prison, you got to get rid of him. And that's what they did. They shipped me to Alcatraz.
These were hard men, kidnappers, bank robbers, killers, men so dangerous that when the first batch arrived by train in 1934, not one was allowed to step down onto free soil. They simply loaded the train cars, one by one, onto barges, and floated them out to the island with inmates chained up inside. That if a man died on Alcatraz, his corpse would be the same way, stone cold dead, but in chains. With men like these, we would never be too careful. The building you see on top of the hill was the inmates' new home, the Alcatraz Cell House. One described it as a tomb of living souls. Some would stay for a year, others for 20 or 25 years or more. To get an idea of the accommodations inside, go ahead and reach your arms out as far as you can from side to side. That's how wide an Alcatraz cell is, 5 feet across. Now reach your hands up high above your head. That's how tall, and only a bit longer from end to end. The cell house might look huge from here, but it was never completely filled. No more than 300 inmates lived inside at any time. 300. They could all fit on this boat right today. Notice the circular water tower. Alcatraz is surrounded by water, but on the island itself, not a drop. Fresh water had to come from San Francisco, and not by any pipeline. 2 or 3 times a week, a barge arrived, full of 180,000 gallons of fresh water. It was pumped up into that tank. The tall smokestack marks the Alcatraz powerhouse. One thing that couldn't be brought out here by boat is electricity, so they made their own. One young man was only 21 years old when he first climbed onto The Rock. His name was Frank Heaney, and he was a guard. In fact, the youngest guard ever to serve on Alcatraz.
I had a very difficult time. They really took advantage of my age. And the old saying that misery loves company, they were very miserable, so they like to make you miserable too. They had no tailor-made cigarettes, they had no candy bars, chewing gum, soft drinks, radios, television, newspapers, rolls or rehabilitation programs. They had none of that by being sent to Alcatraz.
Men sent to Alcatraz considered themselves the elite among convicts.
But on The Rock, I'm not trying to put a feather in my hat on them, but they had a lot of class. You could say they were higher caliber of criminals. They were more professionals. Who were mail trucks and banks and so forth. Some were in for murder. They were a cut above average, the average criminal. Robert Strout, the Birdman, Al Capone, Mickey Cohen, Frankie Garbo, Machine Gun Kelly. They just had been a stupid fool like I was, and that's the way most of the other cons felt about, because everybody was the same on The Rock.
Nobody learned that faster than Alphonse Big Al Capone, Mr. Scarface himself. Capone ruled like a king in any other prison, But here, on the rock, he mopped floors just like anybody else. With no one to protect him, Capone was a sitting duck. The big man was roughed up, beaten, and even stabbed. But Capone had carried his real killer with him to Alcatraz. A case of untreated syphilis was eating his brain and slowly driving him insane. He ended up locked in the bug cage, the fenced-off section of the hospital for mental patients. Still the tough guy, Capone fought with his ward mate, not with guns or knives, but with bedpans, full bedpans. Afterwards, the once mighty crime czar had to be washed off with a hose. Look up ahead at the 3-story guards barracks above the landing dock. You'll also see a metal frame tower at the right corner of the dock.
The tower that you see in front of us is the dock tower. It was manned 24 hours a day. It had a large group of weapons, had a 30-06 rifle, 30 caliber rifle, tear gas gun, 38 revolver. Men were shot and killed from the tower.
One officer would sit up on the top of that tiny tower, 75 feet above the island, locked in for 8 hours at a time, watching, just watching, no matter what kind of weather.
Sometimes you thought you were in heaven. When the fog would come in, you could hardly see.
George DiVincenzi was an Alcatraz guard in the 50s.
I was in the dock tower the day that they closed the Golden Gate Bridge. They had over 100-mile-an-hour gales, and I'm in that dock tower, and I was swinging and swaying like Sammy Kaye's music. The water in the commode was spinning around. The tower was shaking, and I says, my God, if this goes over, I'm going to end up in a bay locked up in this cage.
On the walls of the guards' barracks, you can still see writing from the Indian occupation of 1969 to 1971. Area just past the cellar is the prison exercise yard. Once a week on
was getting numerous and knocked the ball over the wall. But if you knock the ball over the wall, you're out. It's not a home run. You can't go to the other side again. That's a whole white news story about the prison industry. There were a number of attempted escapes. That's where from that building. There was one incident where anyway,
small tower there. They were going to attack that tower. The officer spotted him, and he shot and killed one and wounded another, and the other was captured.
The whole top floor of the industry's building was a laundry. Alcatraz inmates washed uniforms for all the armed forces around the Bay Area. The laundry arrived on an army boat and was delivered by soldiers. That gave one very smart inmate an idea. Slowly and patiently, he began to collect bits and pieces of uniforms as they made their way through the laundry. And when I say patient, I mean it. It took him 10 years to do it, but he finally collected a complete army uniform, belt bags and all. Armed with nothing more than a Texaco map and a few dollars of change, he calmly strolled down to the dock and walked onto the boat with the rest of the soldiers. He made it as far as Angel Island. Alcatraz guards were there to meet him with a pair of handcuffs, and he quietly rowed the boat back to the rock. One guard captain said he kind of felt sorry for the guy. He should have won an award for his efforts. Today, names like Al Capone, Machine Gun Kelly, and Robert Stroud the Birdman are world famous. But other Alcatraz inmates were equally evil, though their names might be forgotten. Like Billy Cook. He murdered 12 people in cold blood.
Oh, Billy Cook. I never liked him. He spit my face once.
George DiVincenzi.
He killed a mother and a father and 3 children and threw them down a well. He was given 300 years from Alcatraz. And talk about a psychopath, he was one. Because he killed a California Highway Patrol officer, they gave him the death penalty. He was executed at San Quentin. So I took a busman's holiday and went over there and watched him get executed. He was an animal as far as I'm concerned.
Just think about your first day on the job, or maybe your first day at a new school. I'll bet it was nothing like George DiVincenzi's first day on Alcatraz.
I reported 9 o'clock Monday morning, and I was told to go to the barbershop. I was a barbershop officer. This one inmate, the barber, proceeded to give his first customer a haircut. And as he was giving him a haircut, they were conversing in low tones very intimately. I could not quite figure what was going on. And as the haircut proceeded, the conversation got more intense. Next thing you know, the customer who was getting the haircut got up out of the chair, and the barber lunged at him with these big barber shears about 10 inches long. He got him in the neck, and the heart, and the throat. Down he went, blood flying all over the place. And he, like a damn fool, blowing the whistle, I jumped in trying to separate him. The three was spun around, knocked the barber chair over, knocked another cabinet over, and he kept hitting with the scissors. Of course, he was dead within less than a minute. Needless to say, that was the end of the shears in the barber shop. They went to electric companies after that. That was my introduction to Alcatraz, my first day.
It was said that the cold waters and deadly currents of the bay made Alcatraz virtually escape-proof. Prisoners might break out of the cell block, but getting off the island was an almost impossible challenge. In 1958, 2 men decided it was worth the risk to brave the freezing bay water. The idea of it sends chills right up my spine. Why, imagine seeing prisoners swimming towards our boat right now. You see, in this story, 2 men made it out of the cell block and into the water. One inmate was captured and taken back to his cell. He lived to tell the story of his attempt. His partner in the escape wasn't so lucky.
I recall getting that water, and it was like a shock. It was just like a oxygen fish suddenly thrust into an icebox. We were going to hide among the rocks there until nightfall, and then shovel. But I got caught up with about 15 minutes before dark. I never escaped when a man's missing. The Coast Guard comes out and goes around, and the prison boat circle. They both circle, looking all along the shoreline for anybody. I had a ridiculous plan to be underwater with the snorkel. I lost what I needed. I lost the snorkel to keep myself underwater. And for that reason, I think I failed on it.
If he had been able to hide until dark, he would have had a long, cold swim ahead of him.
And I was more or less hoping to go to Point Richmond, which is about, I think, 8 miles or so. I had a plastic bag to keep myself afloat. And the only thing I was concerned, how long could you stand in that water without being unconscious? These Navy city underwear. And I guess that's why, as a man, they tell me that's why the guy that let me die in the ground, because of that heavy underwear. It weighs like concrete.
Once an inmate makes it to shore, you're not home free. I mean, that's the start of your adventure. Where are you going to go? What are you going to do? You get caught. In fact, you turn yourself in. You'd be so blind, you say, I just escaped now, I don't want some help.
Life was hard on the Rock. But if it was too hard, the prisoners would riot. One way to keep them happy, feed them well. On the menu, there was porterhouse steak with snowflake potatoes, southern fried chicken or grilled fillet of perch with a lemon wedge and buttered asparagus. Full yet? Better leave room for dessert. If inmates didn't eat everything on their plates, they got no food the next day. There was strawberry ice cream, apple pie, or maybe chocolate cream pie instead.
Every Christmas, we had a Christmas tree in the dining room.
And entertainment. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you for your musical edification the all-inmate orchestra, Alcatraz's own The Rock Islanders.
They set up in the corner and they would play their music and serenade the inmates while they were having their Christmas luncheon. They had the trumpet and clarinet and drums and saxophone. Oh God, they butchered everything up. They were amateurs, but they tried.
In the 3 decades it operated, 1,500 inmates served time at the federal penitentiary at Alcatraz. In 1963, when the last boat left the dock, a chapter in history was closed forever. Did the Rock fulfill its job? Alcatraz inmate Machine Gun Kelly, public enemy number 1, wrote this in a letter. These 5 words seemed written in fire on the walls of my cell. Nothing can be worth this. This kind of life I'm leading. That is the final word of wisdom so far as crime is concerned. Today, Alcatraz is now part of the Golden Gate National Recreation Area. Every year in August, the island hosts a reunion of its former residents. Guards and prisoners again take the boat ride to the Rock, but this time as friends.
I'm very happy to talk to them, shake hands, have coffee with them, then spend the day together and reminisce. No animosity as far as I'm concerned.
Alcatraz attracts more visitors every year than almost any other national park site in America. Unlike the men whose voices you heard today, they can count on leaving when they're ready to go. the section that connects Yerba Buena Island to San Francisco. The massive concrete pier in the center of the suspension bridge rises 200 feet above the water. It connects to a foundation of bedrock 200 feet below the surface. Above and below water, that pier is more massive than the Great Pyramid of Cheops in Egypt, and it contains more concrete than the Empire State Building. The tunnel through Yerba Buena Island is the largest diameter transportation ore tunnel in the world. The Bay Bridge received international attention when a section of the roadway collapsed during the 1989 earthquake. That section was part of the older cantilever bridge that connects to Oakland on the other side of Yerba Buena Island. It is here you can see the new bridge design. This eastern portion of the bridge is the largest self-anchored suspension bridge in the world. The central tower rises 525 feet into the air and is designed to withstand a magnitude 8.5 earthquake. The new eastern span of the Bay Bridge cost more than $6 billion to construct, but is part of a vital link between Oakland and San Francisco that carries more than 300,000 automobiles per day. Now look at the low, flat island connected to Yerba Buena Island at the middle of the bridge. That's Treasure Island. It's an artificial island that was built as a site for the 1939 Golden Gate International Exposition World's Fair. Back in 1850, long before the Bay Bridge was built, it was said that there were so many ships anchored in the bay that you could walk from San Francisco to the East Bay without getting your feet wet. Many of those ships were abandoned, eventually being burned, sunk, built over, and used as landfill in downtown San Francisco. Now, look toward the downtown area, marked by the tall Transamerica Pyramid building. It's the point in the cluster of tall buildings.
Even today, when they're doing construction in downtown San Francisco, you'll run into portions of these older ships. One was discovered right next to the Transamerica Pyramid a few years back, and out of the hold cases of champagne and jewelry, all wrecked. The ship burned in 1853.
Look along the waterfront of the city for the historic ferry building. Do you see the 245-foot tall clock tower? That tower was modeled after a 12th century bell tower on the Seville Cathedral in Spain. Commuting to San Francisco in a ferry boat was the main form of transportation up until the 1930s before the Bay Bridge opened. Nearly 50,000 people a day use the ferry system. After the city's two main bridges were built, cars soon took over as the city's main form of transportation, and the ferry building was no longer a central port of entry for commuters. Today, the building has been restored and contains a thriving international farmers market that is open year-round. Herb King, a well-known columnist for the San Francisco Chronicle, once affectionately said, "The waterfront without the ferry tower would be like a birthday cake without a candle." This iconic tower will forever be a welcoming landmark for the city of San Francisco. As we cruise past the heart of the city on our way back to Fisherman's Wharf, look up at Telegraph Hill. It's the hill closest to the water, the one with the single white column on top. That's Coit Tower.
Coit Tower was built with money's left by Louis Hitchcock Coit. She grew up in the city and was a tomboy who used to chase fire engines. She quite literally would bolt out of fancy formal affairs when she heard the fire alarms going. She loved firemen. One local legend has it. The tower is supposed to put the firemen on in memory of her days with the firefighters.
Coit Tower is a famous San Francisco landmark. More than that, it represents the legacy of a woman who loved bright lights, adventure, and the excitement of chasing horse-drawn fire engines. Coit Tower is also a symbol of the grand dreams it became the reality of San Francisco, this sparkling city perched at the very edge of the continent. As we head back, we will soon approach our final destination. It's one of the most famous attractions in San Francisco, Pier 39. Locals and visitors from around the world come to Pier 39 for world-class dining, spectacular views, and unique shopping. In fact, one unusual group of visitors came to visit the pier in the months following the Loma Prieta earthquake, and they never left. If you look closely in the water, you might see their shiny black heads in the waves. Over the years, the group has swelled to over 700 sea lions. Visitors to the pier can get a close-up personal view of the sea lions year-round. We'll be sailing right past them as we come into port. Have your cameras ready. The sea lions are not the only source of entertainment. The Aquarium of the Bay, located on Pier 39, gives you an up-close look at the marine life that inhabits our waters. A non-profit aquarium dedicated to conservation and education, Aquarium of the Bay is home to over 20,000 aquatic animals, including bat rays, octopuses, and the bay's largest predator, the seven-gill shark. Crystal clear tunnels under the water give visitors a scuba diver's view of the bay, and touch pools and tide pools in the Touch the Bay exhibit allow for a hands-on experience. Throughout the aquarium, naturalists are available to answer questions and provide fun facts about the marine life. Aquarium of the Bay also offers daily behind-the-scenes tours and 3D movies. Make sure to bring your Bay Cruise ticket for a discount on aquarium admission. If you're here between May and October, we invite you to bring your Bay Cruise ticket stub to the Blue and Gold Fleet box office for a discount on the thrilling Rocket Boat ride. Rocket Boat. Don't miss it. It's a blast on the bay. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now heading into port. Remember, the Blue and Gold Fleet offers ferry service to many destinations on San Francisco Bay, including Angel Island, Tiburon, Sausalito, Alameda, Oakland, and Vallejo. Thank you for sailing with us today, and enjoy your stay in San Francisco.